The legendary place of the Zagra Plateau is Calypso's cave. It would be interesting to know how the legend was born that this is that particular cave where the nymph Calypso kept Odysseus in prison for 7 years, until, by the order of Zeus, she had to let him go. During the great earthquake of 1693, part of the cave fell in. Today, the visible part can be visited free of charge. It's interesting that on the ferry boat we have to pay only for the way to Malta. Returning to Malta, let's see some sights of the Marfa Peninsula. The name of the nearby Paradise Bay promises ideal circumstances for the bathing visitors. At one time, there were considerably fewer people in paradise. Today, lovers cannot have the privacy, and the use of deck chairs and shower were free. Despite this fact, the beach is pleasant and popular, especially because of the sandy coastside, which is very rare on Malta. Popeye Village was built in 1979 as scenery to Robert Altman's film. Robin Williams fans probably remember the otherwise not too successful comedy. The scenery village itself stands in a scenic area on the Bay Coast, and, for a small entrance fee, offers several programs for the children. Malta's real touristic sites are the old yellow buses that transfer the passengers between the settlements. There are 4 settlements in the St. Paul Bay: Ora, Bugiba, St. Paul, and Semsia. These settlements function as holiday resorts alongside the lovely bay, with modern hotels and entertaining places. We can find hardly any sights here, except one, the Ora Tower from the 16th century, which presently cannot be visited. Nearby, there are the so-called wheel tracks. These small grooves are similar in age to the megalithic churches. Many compare them to the Nazca lines, and if we solve their secret, perhaps they would answer the question of how multi-ton rocks were transported thousands of years before Christ. People come here for the pleasure of the sea and sunshine, and the wide variety of relatively cheap hotels. As the island is small and the transportation is good, the inhabitants here don't miss anything. Due to the light Mediterranean climate, it's generally warmer and drier on Malta than on the continent. In April, there's already good weather that lasts till September, and the sea is warm enough for bathing. There are few green areas on Malta, and there are no rivers or lakes. The surface of the islands is karst plateau. Fresh water is produced by extracting the salt from the seawater or collecting rainwater in cisterns. There are no high mountains either. Malta's highest point is only 253 meters. The uneven beach is rocky or with gravel and with few sandy bays. The sea is very clear and the number of sunny hours is extremely high. The dry, warm is cooled by a light wind blowing in from the sea. Over the centuries, Phoenicians, Carthaginians, Byzantines, Arabs and Vikings, and later the Italians, French and British visited here. The descendants of the nations living here for shorter and longer periods have intermixed, giving birth to Malta's inhabitants. They love their home and don't want to sacrifice it on the altar of the mass tourism. Perhaps for this reason, they treat all foreigners as guests. If we accept their calm, southern speed, we'll enjoy ourselves here. If we just sit on the terrace of a cafe, admire the sunset above the sea, sail over to one of the quiet bays, or visit a colourful event, we can understand what makes people come to Malta. The people in Malta like fireworks as much as the Chinese who invented them. They're also expert in them and produce them as well. The firecrackers are produced in several small factories, and no church or temporal event can exist without fireworks on Malta. Each village has its own patron saint, and each saint has its own event with a procession and music. The Muarja is especially popular. The name originates from the Italian word luminaria, meaning flood lighting. Originally, it was the harvest celebration, but later the event became larger and grew to a huge open-air amusement. The bonfires and the colour floodlighting, of course, remained. The fireworks often last for hours.